Hello, hello! It's Liz coming to you a couple of minutes late because I was talking to a dead camera apparently. I am Liz, the owner of Frills, and I have my cohort friend with me that is fortunately here to help me. Her name is Jamie.
Hi everybody, excuse, here's the thing, I'm an Apple girl,
Yeah.
and she's a Samsung girl, so our things work a little different, and there was this fancy little 10-9-8, that's what it was doing on the countdown, so
Okay.
we just went through 2 countdowns, but we
Oh.
should be live now,
Okay.
so
Yay.
here we go!
Fun. So at Frills, I sell, I'm located in New Richmond, Wisconsin, but I also ship nationwide. And so I sell fusion mineral paint in the whole entire line. So we have high quality mineral paint, milk paints, finishes, waxes, and then to go with that, we have the decoupage line, stencils, and rub-on transfers, brushes, all the things that you would need to redo furniture, redo cabinetry, and you can also do small crafts. And so this is our first live, if you can't tell. And I thought for the first one, what I would do is just a simple project like this. And so what we have, I have the Roy-cycled decoupage papers. And one of the papers is called Spring Blocks. These sell for only $6.99, and the spring blocks are the ones that say blocks on them. Not all of them are blocks. Some of them are just one full pattern on the paper. But the ones that, keep this open, the ones that say blocks are just that. It's like different blocks on the paper. Let's open before
Of course, it's child-proof on the day you don't want it to be.
Yeah. Okay, so as you can see here, so it's like we're going to use one of this part here for on the backdrop. You can see on the backdrop of the door, and then I'll pick one of these. On that one I did eggs, so maybe I'll do the birds or something else in a different one. On the one that I'm actually going to show you how to do it. So the Roy-cycled, like I said, they're $6.99. All of the links hopefully are showing up for you for all of the products that we use on this project. If not, let us know when the video's done. I'll go back through and add them on the comments. So I'm not sure if, I tried to add them 10 minutes ago. I'm not sure if it showed up or not. Just to show you the Roy-cycled papers that we have. If you look through the frameandfrills.com site, you can see some other furniture pieces that I've done. I did a set of nightstands, a pair of nightstands, and I used this Art Nouveau paper. So see, some of them are just the full papers. This is a super fun one. This is blocked with the cowgirl, and so you can see all the different, there's tons of different patterns and styles. I did a dresser in yellow and gray with this sepia one. So anyway, you can check that out. $6.99, really great price point. And then, so let's get started on our project. What I am using for the project is an old cabinet door. This is an oak one. And I'm just going to run through it quickly to sort of show you what the steps that I do to prep it for this project, but also for basic prep for furniture. So the first thing I do, actually, if you don't have any of this, you might really think about it. This is a Beeswax base hand cream, and I always put this on before I start painting. I don't really like to wear gloves unless I absolutely have to. I am painting a lot during the day, and I would be wearing gloves for hours and hours. This stuff actually is the only way that I can wash the paint off my hands. It goes in and it seals your hands so that then at the end of the day, I can, I got a little clump here, I can actually get the paint washed off. It's pretty amazing.
They said, can you flip the phone tablet? The screen is sideways on Facebook.
Oh!
Okay, well,
try it and see.
Let's do that, Liz. Good to know.
I think you don't do that way, it'll slip out. I think you got to actually take the phone out of the clip.
Thank you for our wonderful viewers to give us beginners such heads up. Oh boy, how do we do that?
Just take the charger out.
I think we'll take the charger out. And this is why it's called live, and this is why it's called friendly. Family friendly. I'm hoping that's okay. It will make our field a little smaller, but I think it should do. So I will check. Now it's funny how.
So do you have this down here on there? Is the table on there?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm just going to give you a quick rundown how to prep. At some point, I might do a live on actually painting kitchen cabinets. So I would get more detailed into that. But for an old kitchen cabinet door like this is, you know, probably 10, 20 years old. This one is oak. And oak does have these, you know, you can feel the grain. You will see that through the paint. I don't mind that at all. If you do, then you have to do special fillers and stuff. But I actually prefer the paint and I like to see the grain. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to wash it. You gotta wash it no matter what the piece of furniture is. You always wash it. So what I use is the Fusion TSP Alternative. It is not TSP. It does not have trisodium phosphate. It is an alternative to that. It cuts through grease and grime. It works amazing. A couple of capfuls. It comes concentrated in this bottle. So you just need a couple of capfuls in a quart of water. Wash it on. Don't have to rinse it.
So that's going to last a long time.
Super long time. And especially because I mix it up in a spray bottle. And so I just spritz it on. And then I use a paper towel and scrub it off. Wipe it off. Wash it. It works great. So if this was hanging in the kitchen, you know how the kitchen cabinets get greasy and grimy?
Yep.
Yeah, this cuts through it. Maybe you do it a couple of times, but it cuts through it. It's amazing. Now, if your piece has wax on it, which this I'm not worried about, it doesn't have any wax on it. Even Pledge furniture polish, that all counts as wax. You need to cut through the wax. In that case, or if it has a factory finish too, that's like a anti-flammable finish, then you want to use odorless solvent. And the way that I do it is I pour some on a green and yellow scrubby, and then I just use that. For that I do wear gloves because this is solvent based. Scrub it really, really well. Take a dry paper towel, and I use these lint-free blue paper shop towels. They work great. And then wipe that off because the solvent will dissolve the wax, and you'll see it. It'll show up on that. If there's anything on my paper towel at all, I redo it again. Put on some more solvent, scrub it really good, clean paper towel until it's completely clean. Then I know I got it off. Rewash with your TSP to remove any residue that you might have from that. And then that part's done. You're good to go. Now, you always want to scuff sand. So scuff sanding is really easy. All it does is put little tiny scratches into your surface. So this has got some varnish on here. So you just need to put little tiny scratches in it. You're not trying to sand the finish off. You're just trying to get little scratches so that paint has a tooth to grip onto. So it's just going through like this and sanding it, right? So you're just going to go through, and then
I'm going to zoom in to see what you've got for some residue there. So you actually did lift up some residue, didn't you?
Yeah, you will. So you're not going to paint it yet. You got to wipe that off. I just use a damp paper towel.
Yeah.
Wipe it all off, right? And then after you wipe it off, it's like, oh, nothing happened. No, you did. You put little scratches in there, and that's enough for Fusion. Fusion is it doesn't need a primer. It doesn't need a sealant. It's all in one for the Fusion mineral paint. The only time you would need a primer is if it was a special material like maybe a laminate. You can do a laminate, but then you need to use a bonding agent to grip onto that laminate because you really can't sand laminate, right? So that's where Ultra Grip comes in. You can use that. You wipe on. I use this applicator. Pour in the Ultra Grip. Wipe it on. quickly because it does get brush marks. Let it cure for 12 hours, then you can paint it. That wasn't the case with this door, but because it is oak, mahogany, cedar, pine will bleed tannins. Almost always they're going to wind up discoloring. It'll come to the top surface of the paint. So, and because we're decoupaging, I wanted a white background behind the decoupage paper because the paper is kind of see-through and it's really nice if you can go over white. So for that, and to seal the tannins, this is what I did. I primed it with it has to say somewhere on here, Shellac Base Primer. It has to be the one with shellac. This is not a fun job. Have you ever used it?
Yes.
Yeah, it's really stinky. It's not fun.
No.
So, but it's a necessary thing. So you pop it off. You want to make sure you stir it really well because usually there's like this thick settlement on the bottom. Get it all mixed in quick. I use a junky brush, cheap brush. Brush it on and don't go back and rebrush it because it dries almost instantly and you'll get brush marks on it. So put that on. As soon as it's dry, you can paint over. There's not really a curing time. So within a half an hour. So that is what I did. So let's flip this over. So this cabinet door now has the bin primer for a base coat. And then for the outside frame, you can see on this one, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, it's actually a two-tone. So this blue the first color I did was ash. And then this interior, I did Bayberry. So the reason I did it two-tone like that, the reason that I did this and this a base color first is because the next top color you'll see, I do kind of a dry brush and I just wanted a little bit of this color to show through. I didn't want it to be white showing through. So you don't have to do that. That's just the way that I did it. So after that completely dries, usually between coats of paint, I like to give it, an hour or two. If you have to speed it up with a hair dryer, you can. I've done that. You just want to make sure it's dry. So then now we're going to actually start doing something. I'm going to show you how to do a dry brush. So it's not a super dry brush, but it's not complete coverage. So first of all, this is Fusion Mineral Paint. If you're not familiar with it, it has minerals for the pigment. It is 100% acrylic. It does not have fillers in it, and it is water cleanup. It has amazing adhesion. It's good interior, exterior. It doesn't fade in the sun. It's very UV stable. It's a super amazing paint. 0 VOC, and it's really a very, very durable paint. And because it's so highly pigmented, a little goes a long way. Fusion likes to be applied in a thin coat because that's just it doesn't need a big, thick coat. So anyway, okay, so I always use you can just shake it up like this, and I always use my jar opener. And then I have learned to cut up Ziploc plastic bags and put them between the jar and the lid because otherwise the lid gets stuck.
Ziploc bags, not saran wrap. Easier to work with and thicker?
Yeah, it's more slippery. I tried saran wrap and it kind of, some of them still have it on there, but it kind of starts tearing.
Sure. Clever.
Yeah. So, just to kind of show you how to dry brush, can you see this angle okay, or do I need to put it up a little?
No, I think they can get a pretty good angle.
So I just put on some paint and then I'm going to take some of it off and I'm just going to kind of lightly go across. I don't want to get really full coverage. If you can see, that was all done with just a single coat. So I'm just going to kind of go on like this. So I'm just kind of hitting it all over rather than trying to go right in there with full coverage. these brushes that I'm using, we sell in the shop. Again, the link should be on there. It's a set of 7, and I use them all the time for small things. They actually have held up really well.
So you're getting good coverage, but not worrying about cutting it perfectly.
No,
and just
right. I want it to be rustic and look old and vintagey, and just making sure I don't have any thick whatever. Now,
yep.
If I was doing a piece of furniture, I wouldn't be fussing with it this way. I would definitely apply it differently. So that's why I got to do a different tutorial for that. So same thing. Just want it to spread out so that it is not giving me full coverage, so that some of that ash, which is a really nice off black color, it's kind of a, depending on the lighting, it can look dark, really dark gray, or a lighter black. It has amazing coverage, very popular color. Okay, so that shows you, that gives you an idea for the French Eggshell, which is the blue color on the outside of the frame. And I messed around with these colors a lot for this block, and I tried many different combinations. I had some pink in there. I just decided that for me, my favorite was the French Eggshell and the Chateau, I think, right? Yeah, the Chateau. So here's another tip. Put your brush in a Ziploc bag until in case you need to use it again, you need to go back and touch up, or until you're ready to wash it. It just helps it keep it moist so that the paint doesn't dry on the bristles. Okay, so it's the same thing for the Chateau, which I don't need to show you that, but same thing, shake it up. You always want to shake your mineral paint, and then just do this. If you get some of the paint up on here, like here you can see where I did here, it might show through, because this is a dark color. It might show through the paper. The paper is slightly transparent. So you might want to go back with a little white or light color and touch that up before you decoupage. So,
question. We have a question coming in. Is it okay to shake the paint?
Yeah, definitely okay to shake the paint. Shake, shake.
Shake. Boy, I feel like we ought to break out and dance with that one. Shake, shake, shake.
Okay, so what you want to do before, you want to make sure that the paint dries, ideally overnight. For that base, you really want it to dry well before you decoupage over it. Usually with crafts, I have to admit, I get impatient and I'm just working all day long on it, and I just use my hair dryer. But ideally, if you can paint your base and then walk away and let it dry overnight before you decoupage on it, that's actually better. Okay, so here is the next step. Here is the door after the paint has all dried. So it's got the French Eggshell and the Chateau top coat. And now we're gonna cut and we're gonna decoupage. So, scissors.
Those are so pretty in real life. I'll just attest to, yes.
They're like watercolors, aren't they?
They are. Yeah. They're absolutely like watercolors, and you're seeing just a fragment of just how real and delicate and yet how pretty they are.
So I before I decoupage this on, I did drill the hole for the knob, and here's I just had some old vintage cabinet doorknobs. So I drilled the hole before, just in case I didn't want the drill to wind up cutting the paper. So I did pre-drill my hole, and then afterwards I'll just go through with a little razor and cut an X in the paper. I was going to show you how to use a drill, but I'll save that for another time. Okay, so anyways, there's I
think we will, in case we need a little first aid treatment. Let's not lose the cameraman on the first day of work.
Yeah. Okay, so the Fusion Decoupage Decoupage and Transfer Gel. I love it. It goes on so smooth. It's not like Mod Podge where it's more tacky. It goes on super duper smooth. It's very, dries really clear and smooth and not tacky at all. Some of the other ones actually feel tacky even after they're dry and you have to put a different finish over it. This works for the glue and for the top coat. So for this small of a piece, I'm just gonna put the Decoupage Gel on the whole top. I'm not worried about doing little parts at a time. It's gonna wrinkle. I want it to look really rustic and old. I'm embracing all of the flaws and defects. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to be careful to not get it over the sides. I'm going to check it before I put the paper on, because if I did get it over the sides, I'm going to wipe it up. The paper, I'm going to put it on extra large so that for trimming, okay, I think I got it all on here. You can put it on, you know, you want it to glue it down. You definitely don't want to miss any spots or you'll get air bubbles underneath there.
And it's definitely a little, it's a medium coat. There's some thickness to it, a little thickness.
It's not like paint where you're putting on a super thin coat. You want enough glue on there to hold it. So, whoops, I forgot to trim this a little bit. Oh well, that's fine. So, I just want to think about what part, on that one I did kind of, the pattern was like this right here. So, I am just gonna put that on. Oh, you know what I forgot was a wad of saran wrap. Right there underneath, behind your coffee. Yep. Just rip off, you know, like that much. So I like to use saran wrap. I'd like to say I came up with this idea, but I didn't. One of my people, vendors.
How much did you say?
Yeah, that's good. Yep. It doesn't, once the tissue paper gets wet from the glue, if I try adjusting it at all, I'm going to wind up ripping through it. The saran wrap reduces the friction, but it definitely, I don't know if you can see that on there or not, but like I just moved this air bubble out. It really works nice. And with this casual of a craft, if you wind up ripping through the paper, it's not the end of the world. I've done it lots of times. But it does, the saran wrap really does work great.
That is clever.
Yeah.
It is really working. I just saw those air bubbles just vanish.
Oh, good. So, okay, so I did this purposely extra big going all the way around. I've got this bird on here kind of how I like. If something was askew, I could lift it off and put it back, but I do risk messing it up. It could rip this tissue paper. Once it gets wet with the glue, it does become quite fragile. So I wouldn't mess with it too much. Now, the way that I'm going to trim this, after it is completely dry, let it dry, and that takes several hours. Then I'm going to go with my sanding block, and I'm not going to do it now, but I'm going to pretend I'm doing it. You go at an angle like this, and you're sanding it. So here, I guess I was going to have one ready. So you're sanding it like this, and it will just cut right through the paper exactly on that edge where you want it, and it won't, like if you tried trimming this with scissors ahead of time, you're going to be off. It's so much pressure to have to get it perfectly lined up, and you're going to wind up with a little bit over or under.
So are you saying when you use that block, you'll sand the edge and it will tear away almost like the saran wrap in a box, like naturally tear away, or you have to cut it after?
No.
It tears away.
Yep.
Okay.
No, it's awesome.
That
It
is.
works great. So
after 2 hours of drying time.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it might even take a little bit more than 2 hours. So it might take 4 or 5 hours. There's one where if you can leave it overnight, that's great. Now, I'm not going to do it now because I have other things to do and I want to trim it before I do this. But you will want to go back over this paper after it's trimmed and put on some more Decoupage Gel to seal the paper to protect it. on a piece like this where it's a piece of art, it's not that important because you're not touching it, but if it was a piece of furniture, absolutely you need to seal that. Okay, so we are going to set this one aside on our stack here. Now let's talk can openers. This is an old tin can that I think whole tomatoes came in this one. We eat a lot of whole tomatoes. Here's can opener, and I try to remember, it says good cook on there. I think this is a Pampered Chef. But would that be the same?
I don't think they would have used those terms. Their PC would be on it, but I don't know that they've actually would have any writing like that on the product.
So Pampered Chef is one that I think has it. This one, so the way that it opens is it goes around and it actually cuts like along the side seam, so there's no sharp edges.
Sure.
I would not do this craft with a regular can opener where you have the sharp edges on there. I definitely would use one like this. I don't know what it's called, an offset opener. I don't know what it's called. Look for it though. I love this can opener. So anyway, that's what I did with this. Now, anyway.
Mr. Montello is making sure that he wants everyone to know that he personally washed out that can for this project.
He did!
Thank you for being a participant in today's craft project, Mr. Montello.
Yeah, thanks, honey. Okay, so to get the can to look like this, it was really pretty easy. I just, first of all, see where the seam is? I want that to be on the back. So I just went with my hands.
Wow.
Yeah, it does. It bends once you have that off. It bends pretty easy.
We got a little Wonder Woman action going here.
It makes me look stronger.
Years of dragging and lifting furniture has made those biceps strong. Wow.
Yeah, and then to do the edge and get it nice and flat, just a pair of pliers. Now you got to think about where that seam is. And I messed with it two different ways. I bent it up and bent it down, and actually it looks better if the seam, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, you kind of can. So see how the seam is on the front, on the back? You can see the little dents from the, can you see that from the pliers? It didn't look very good. So I'm like, okay, we'll just embrace that part coming up. So super easy. I mean, you just kind of go little bits. It bends very easily.
So you're kind of doing a crimping almost.
Yes. Yep. Kind of a two-step thing. So you just kind of bend it up like this. And then just kind of go back again and bend it. Keep bending it until you get it all the way up, and then eventually. Oh. Okay. So you get the idea, right? You can keep doing it, but yeah, the last one you just go like that and bend it over. Okay.
And you put your seam of the can, the main seam of the can, to the back.
To the back.
To go up against the board. Okay.
This one's going to have decoupage on it, the decoupage paper, so you might not see very much of that, but I did just to be whatever. Okay, now the next thing that I did, actually the first thing that I did before I did any of that is I did use this Ultra Grip on the can, on metal. If you're, messing with it very much, the paint can scratch off. This will prevent that from happening. So there's your bonding agent. I did put that on just for extra assurance that the paint isn't going to be scratching off. And then the next thing that we have to do is our holes right here. Now, I did mine a couple of different ways. I started with just a regular, which I don't have one, a Phillips head screwdriver. You know what that is, one with the X on it. And I put that on there and did it with the hammer. But this one I'm going to do with an awl. So this is an awl. It's just a little point, right? Super simple. The reason I do it after I have it bent, which just needs to get bent just a little bit more, I think. So you can kind of see where your sides are going to be where you want it to hang. And then I'm going to try doing this one on camera. So it did just take a couple of bangs to get it through. There we go. Now we're through. So now my wire can go through. You can
form your little hanging hole.
Yep. That's just for the wire to go through. You want one on each side. Super simple. Okay, and then the wire. So you could use skinny florist wire. You could use, which to me is a little bit thin. I had some of this black, I don't know. I just went through the junk drawer and grabbed a hunk of wire. So I just had some of this black coated wire. Cut it with wire cutters. Okay. Then, remember I said the decoupage paper is slightly see-through, so you do want to do a base coat. I put on a coat of the Chateau on here so that it is a nice, it helps the colors pop. If it's dark underneath there, the colors really don't pop very well on the decoupage paper. Now, which one should we do? Should we do the nest?
Well, yes.
You think so?
The nest, we all need a little reflection of spring in this Midwest dreary weather. So let's get the birds and new life.
We woke up to a little slushy snow today. Okay, here is a fun little tip. So first I'm going to cut this off just to give myself a smaller piece to work with. And then here's a fun tip. So I like it to look really organic looking, right? Although with this one I could almost just cover it all the way with paper. But if I want this to look really organic, and if I cut it around like this, you can still see that really harsh edge. So here is a fantastic tip that I saw somebody do. Where did I just put my paintbrush? Okay, it's just with water and this paintbrush, and you just kind of go around where you think you want it, the edge to be, get it wet, and then it will just rip right on that wet edge and just give you a nice sort of organic frayed edge. You see what I'm saying?
Yep. We'll have you hold it up when we're done, because yes, the tearaway is very easy to see.
So you can kind of see that.
Yeah. Oh, that's a beautiful edge.
Yeah.
Organic, so
Yeah.
you say. Yes.
Yeah, because if you
Authentic,
leave it where
it's real.
yeah, it looks so much better than that cut edge that just looks so harsh for something like this, at least. Some things you might want the very exact cut edge. So you can see the difference.
Oh, yeah.
See how much better that looks?
Yep.
To have that with the, and it's kind of fun to do too.
Goes to show, though, why you do not want to handle the paper in the other stage prematurely because of its frailty. There's times when you need it to be frail, and then when it needs to set up, why you said to don't touch it for a couple hours, because that just shows how it tears away. But boy, it's really neat when you want it to tear away.
There.
Cute.
Okay, so then it's going to be the exact same thing as what we did with the decoupage panel. I am going to show you this, how I use the brush to actually hold down the paper for me and smooth it. So same thing, decoupage gel, put on our nice, where's the front at? Yeah, this is, oh, that's the back. Okay. Oh, I also painted the inside of the can. The way that I did this, it really doesn't show, but you might decide to change the arrangement inside. So I filled mine with moss and pussy willows, but whatever. You decide to have it show a little. Yeah. So I'm putting on a nice thick coat. I'm going to put my paper on here. Decide where I want it. And then it's actually a little bit big.
Is it gonna? I was gonna say, is it gonna fit for that size? Just
it's
close.
A little big. So that's okay. I'm just gonna fold it over and just have the glue hold it down wherever. So now on this, I am actually gonna top coat it right away as well. So I'm
Okay.
going to use that glue to just really hold it down every which way. Decoupage is so fun. It's a really, really old art, like I think thousands of years.
Yes. My mom did a lot of it.
Oh yeah.
But like you said, it would have been more with that old product, more like, even though Mod Podge is still out, this technique is so much more user-friendly and easier to work with.
Yeah. Yeah. When I started using the Fusion Decoupage Gel, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so smooth. It just struck me as it just goes on so smooth and so easy. So
That actually fit on quite nicely.
yeah,
Natural, like it just wraps around and
yes, and the brush, having the brush sort of be your tool to push it on and hold it really helps. So you want to make sure that it is completely covered. If you want to go back afterwards, if you missed a spot, you can always go back and cover it again with another coat of the gel. So now you just got to set it someplace to dry. All right.
Do you wait 2 hours again if you're going to do a second top coat?
Yeah, you got to wait a few hours.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so that's basically it. Then it's just putting it together. Unless I'm missing something.
No, but you've got to bring up that finished product and show what you did. And yeah, I do like that painting the inside of the can because obviously that just diminishes that silver reflection. Where did you get your pussy willows this time of year?
Yeah, this is a great time to get them. I got them from the garden center in Richmond.
And I suppose some people have them in their yards, right?
Yeah.
Are they around here? Do people find
Yeah.
their pussy willows in their own yards?
Are they? They must be ready now. I guess I don't know. If you know if pussy willows are ready in Wisconsin, let me know.
Yeah.
As a kid, I remember going around and cutting pussy willows.
Yes.
That was fun.
Yes.
In the ditches. So anyways, I just cut some of these and then I filled them with, I filled the little base with just some moss and put it in there. And that was it.
You have to talk about your cute adornment
All
and
right.
how you hang it.
Okay, so here you go. This is it. The door, the little handle, I just put on some paint on it just to make it look a little bit, I don't know, soft and vintagey even more so. You could always add some paint to it. Super simple though. And then the wire just went through and just hangs there. So happy spring, everyone. If you have any questions, let me know. If there's any products you want to know more details on, or if there's anything that you could give me for a tip on how to improve my live, that would be awesome too.
Oh, and compliments on the new short hairdo.
Oh.
I agree. I walked through the door and I said, well, look at you. You are ready to go live. Doesn't she look fantastic? But that's Liz. She makes everything beautiful.
Aw, thanks. Thanks so much for joining me today. We'll see you later.